Hi guys, this is Sidney. Today I'm on here to let my intuition guide me through whatever messages that may be coming for you. For those of you who are going to resonate and connect and reciprocate. So I was really feeling drawn to be on camera earlier today. And as I was trying to record some sort of message, something wasn't feeling right. So I had to get off for a bit. And while I was doing so, I received a further information. So if that is coming through, I'm going to let that come through right now. So it has to do, I believe, is with us letting go of something. Okay, so right now the big theme, the major theme in the collective is integrating all that you've been working to release the past 3, 6, 9 months. And during this eclipse, during this Mercury retrograde, you are integrating everything. So you are completely releasing that energy from your energy body or your system altogether, is what is coming up for me to share. And so, with this idea of holding on to something and letting go of something, and the key right now, as I shared in my latest video about this idea of why we are here in the first place, and reminding you of that, that we are here to let go of karma and let go of fear. And in order to do that, we need to look into limiting beliefs that we took on, right? As we went into this experiment, okay? So I guess this is going to be more of a macro view of what we are experiencing in all our journey, so we could bring some higher perspective into whatever that you may be going through right now, or to trying to wrap up, to release altogether, so you can free yourself. So the key word that is coming is emancipation. So liberty, freedom from whatever that you felt like was you were chained to, like a chained, right? So now you are cutting that chain yourself. So this rebirth that we are all experiencing right now, in a very unique way for every individual. So once again, just to remind you, you want to honor where you are, you want to honor your journey, right? Instead of going into the temptation of staying in comparison. So if you go into comparison, you allow yourself to do that, but then you want to learn something from that experience by turning your energy inward rather than turning your energy outward, right? And so bring your energy back to yourself, and then reflect on why you are comparing and what feelings it is has been bringing you, and why you are doing that, right? So once you are aware of that, you can release yourself from that, more and more and more. So with that, what came was my own experience that I had, not just in relation to directly letting go of something, but when I was studying contemporary art in London as my graduate study. So I basically studied business and psychology in undergraduate, and I had some corporate experience. And then instead of going to do MBA and all that sort of course that a lot of people do, I chose to study what I really wanted, because I felt like my brain was stuck, and when I was working in finance just before, and I felt like I was becoming like a robot, and I couldn't think for myself. My brain was just getting numbed, and at times in the position that I was working in, I couldn't go to go on a vacation and I was working a lot. So um, I used to love to travel, and because I was under so much stress, I experienced that I lost all motivation or passion or even joy to travel. Like everything was like, okay, like I just want to do nothing and sleep, or, you know, so that's when it really hit me. And anyway, so I prepare myself to study or get admission to a graduate school to study contemporary art. And when I was studying contemporary art, our class used to go to the Tate Modern Museum in London, where a lot of contemporary arts are there and installations, a lot of new exhibitions. So we used to go there, have a lot of discussions, which I like really enjoyed, you know, because I used to love to have like philosophical exchange about thoughts and all of that. You know, ever since I was like in high school and something like that. And so I remember this one installation that came to my mind that was in analogy to what we're going through right now. So it was about this, I think, Polish artist, and he was making a tribute to the Holocaust, about the, you know, freedom and, you know, all of that dark history. So his installation was basically this huge container, and people, it's more like we call it, used to call it experiential art. So the art is not just about like interactive art. So it's to help you feel something on an emotional level that's you're going to resonate, and so more of like a conceptual art. So you walk up this ladder, or this like this little pathway, and then as you enter into the dark container, you will start to feel that there's no light, and it's pitch black inside, so you cannot see anything, like literally. And that was the art installation, and we were studying the artist's intentions and concepts behind this artwork, and we were discussing. And the artist was inspired also by the Plato's book named Allegory of the Cave. So basically, it was written by Plato, the philosopher that we know, and the book is about these people who are chained inside the cave, and they're sitting looking into the wall, and only thing they could see is the image that is being reflected through any of the lights that were coming in and moving through behind them. So in all their life, they're chained inside the cave. So with that concept, the idea of liberty and emancipation, that the artist's intention was for us to remember the fear that people must have felt during the Holocaust, where they would have a regular, daily, happy life, and all of a sudden the war happened and the Nazis came and they took everything, and they were separating family members. If you were Jewish, you know, you had to go to a concentration camp, and they're going into the unknown that was full of fear that was threatening them. So by remembering that we don't want to repeat this history ever again, was the artist's intention to make people realize the value of freedom, and, you know, the compassion, that we don't want to have this kind of event occurring in the world. So what came to me was, it's like that's what we are doing right now. We are moving from the age of darkness and to the age of light in a way, and that we are walking into the unknown, and we've been walking inside this dark tunnel where we had to feel a lot of fear, right? Fear and threats and dangers everywhere. And we had to start to like withdraw and always be in a stance of defense, right? Because you don't know what's going to come at you and threaten your life, right? And so we've been living our life that way on a collective level and a collective conscious level in survival, right? And so um, the way to survive in that age was to basically, for example, imagine the worst constantly so we could prepare ourselves for the worst, right? So because of that, um, our consciousness or the focus has been always focusing on what we need to fear, what we need to worry about, what we need to get anxious about. So we are constantly living in extreme stress on an unconscious or subconscious level. And this gene or this pattern has been handed down from one generation to another to the next generation. Okay, so but now we are moving into the new earth. This dark tunnel is going to be shed with a lot of light, meaning like in a symbolic sense, we are getting a lot of light codes, right? And so with that, we are going to have higher consciousness to realize that what we've been living under was an illusion, an experiment. It's like when I was experiencing that art installation, it's like even though you know that it is just an art and it is just for your experience, as you start to walk in, you start to feel fear. It's like, oh my God, and people are talking, but still you can't see anything inside because it is so dark. You're like, and then you stop because you don't know what's ahead of you, right? And you're hesitating to take the next step because you can't see anything. And then you're like crawling or you're trying to find something to hold on to. Okay, so that is what has been coming up. So in that age, what we were doing or what we were used to doing as a collective pattern was to find something to hold on to at least. So it gives us a sense of comfort in that dark pit, in the abyss, in the unknown. And we don't know what to expect, what's going to happen next, right? We don't know whether something is hidden and then it's going to attack us, right? In a symbolic sense, it could be a person, it could be a situation, or it could be anything, right? So we've been living in that extreme survival fear state as an experiment, meaning your soul chose to walk into that box, walk into that container, knowing that it is just a box and you're just going to have an experience. But once we get there, because of all the emotions, we forget that this is just a box and we are experiencing this as an experience or an experiment. We get really into it, and then we start to feel everything as so real. So that's why we say fear is an illusion, but that's on a mental level. But when we're actually being triggered or experiencing something with the unknown, right? Then what happens is it just feels so real in that moment. It's no longer an illusion. So I just wanted to introduce you to that concept that a lot of people say that fear is an illusion. And I also say this quite a bit, but at the same time, I understand on an emotional level, when you are walking through this journey in that path, it just feels so real. So we want to honor both experiences, both, in a way, what comes to me is connotations, right? That fear is an illusion, but it could also feel real. We want to honor every experience. So you don't have to force yourself to, okay, like I need to believe that fear is an illusion. Fear is an illusion. But actually, rather than doing so, what's going to really help you is to honor these both aspects that you may be experiencing. So, what I'm guided to share is you want to experience and allow everything and honor all experiences rather than this is what I need to do, that's what I need to do at this time right now, especially as we are shedding what we've been working on at this wrapping up point. So it was just that you needed to hold on to something that made you feel safe in that dark place where you couldn't see anything. Okay. So, in a symbolic sense, it could be something that you may be holding on to from that period of darkness that you developed as a pattern in survival, that right now that tunnel is going to be filled with light. Right? We are in that transition. So in order for us to do that, what we need to do is we need to let go and completely surrender, meaning it's like this. When we are in fear, in order to have that sense of safety or sense of feeling secure, right? It may not be like real security within you, but it's just a sense, it's just a feeling, it's just an illusion or the psychological play that you are having in your mind to feel like, nothing is scary, so that you could survive and stay in that darkness. Otherwise, you would go crazy, right? So it was all psychological playing and manipulation in a sense, right? We call like justification, right? You could sometimes gaslight your own voice, right? Doubt yourself, which is self-doubt, right? Not trusting your own intuition or own inner voice, right? All of this because we were so obsessed in that age with having certainty in the uncertain world, meaning unknown is full of danger. So we hold on to what is certain or the idea of certainty, you see? And that idea may not be certain, but that's what we want to believe in as certainty. You see what I mean? And that analogy is control, the idea of controlling. Okay, you are in control because I have this, at least I can hold on to this. Okay, the feeling of safety, the refuge. But this is just a psychological play, is what I'm guided to share with you to help you understand in a way. So you may be holding on to something. It could be a certain habit that like you want to control every outcome of the situation, or that you want to know and have it resolved right away. Otherwise, you will live in anxiety and stress. It's like, oh my God, you are in a restless state until that is resolved because you want to control everything, holding on, right? But it's like with the more light and the age of light that we're entering into, we no longer need to live in such fear. And what we are doing is, because we lived in fear or because we were experimenting with living in fear, now we need to release fear and adapt light. And that is a big message that is coming for me right now. So what we need to do right now, whatever that you're holding on to, it could be like your need to defend all the time, that is controlling, want to control how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's going to show up when and how my life is going to be, and especially also with spiritual practices. Like you feel anxiety or stress, or you feel like dis-ease when you're not like always working on yourself, like writing affirmations to work on yourself, to learn something. And we're always trying to control and, to move forward, right? And at times we have to go higher up to see everything that this is just a container box, as an analogy that we just volunteer to walk into. It's like, okay, I'm gonna see how it feels like. And then you get sucked into it, right? We forget the bigger picture. So like that, when whatever that you're holding on to, like the anger, okay, all these people who made my life or made me suffer, instead of you saying that, okay, I chose to interact with these people so that I could experience what it means to suffer, right? As an experiment, as an experience. And then now that I learned what it means to feel pain, what it means to suffer, what it means to live in survival, I'm going to move on. Meaning you're not going to hold on to that pattern anymore. You're going to let go, right? So as you let go, what is this? You're holding on tight, and then and when you do this, you are empty-handed. So a lot of people may feel that when they let go of something that they used to hold on to. Another analogy or the symbolic term that is coming is attachment, like emotional attachment, like codependent habits, right? And that you experience separation anxiety or something like that, for example, right? You need to have someone. You need to have someone to talk to, or you get bored all the time, right? You need to have some sort of activities. You need to have some things planned. If you're just sitting still, like it bores you to death, right? You can't stand this restful state. We call that restlessness, which I had to deal with earlier in the earlier part of my life, extreme restlessness. Okay, that was part of my karma that I chose to take on to clear the generational karma in the bloodline. Okay, so when you hold on to these things, surrendering can feel really scary because it's also representing the unknown, meaning uncertainty, right? But we don't see uncertainty as adventure or exploration. In survival, we are so used to the old pattern, right? We see this surrendering and trusting as danger, right? Uncertainty, insecurity, a threat to your life. Okay, so that's why we go back to controlling once again. But right now, I'm reminding you that whatever that you're holding on to, you need to reframe and redefine surrendering. Surrendering. Okay, I surrender and allow myself to receive this new path, new journey, new adventure, new exploration, new experiment, new experiences, rather than if I let go, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't have this. I don't have that. I want to go for that, but I don't have this. I'm not sure if I can do this, right? All of these voices, right? That is trying to look for certainty in the situation of the unknown, in the uncertainty, right? And so right now we're at this point is a symbolic analogy in a macro perspective for the collective is coming up. So right now, when you do this, you want to continuously redefine these terms. So it is the same thing. So for like what is coming to me is if you believe that you can do something, you are right. But if you believe that you cannot do something, that's also right. So whatever that you believe in is going to take place. So there's no right or wrong. It's just your perspective and what you believe in, right? But then we forget this when we are in so much fear and survival and old patterns just playing out over and over unconsciously, meaning habitually, without your awareness. So now we are bringing the awareness through the reflection, and then we are intentionally and proactively practicing releasing, flowing, letting yourself at ease. You see, you've been like, So this hand gesture that I'm making is coming in as a symbology as well. So what do you do when you are you're ready to receive more? That's what we mean by making room for the new. So that's what we mean by allow yourself to receive the blessings and gifts by allowing the universe to help you, meaning now when you're holding on, it's like universe is trying to like, okay, let go, baby, let go, my child. But I'm like, no, no, I don't need it, right? So we refuse. That is the resistance, right? I want to see, and then I'm going to move. But then the God is saying, I have all things taken care of you. Trust me and just release and at ease and flow. And we are not doing this. And it's not easy. It takes practice. So in a lot of sense, all this transition, it requires a lot of your discipline. And a lot of it, it's like martial arts. You got to practice every day. The same thing over and over at times, to a point where it's making you feel bored, but you will realize that everything is new every day. So you're no longer going to feel bored. But even though it's the same old that you used to say as bored and nothing much happening, it's going to be same new every day, which is a new mindset shift. You see what I mean? So that's what we need in the collective. And that's what a lot of people are waking up to or struggling right now to finish that line. So it's like a finish line, a marathon that we were learning. You're just about in this finish line, okay? So that's why I think this message is coming up for me to share, okay? All these analogies. So when you let go, you're ready to receive. You see this movement, right? You're ready to receive. But it's hard for us to believe that when we don't do anything, when we just trust, we used to hear that nothing's going to fall on your lap if you are like this, right? That's what we learned in the age of darkness. But that's what we need to move away from and adapt new way of thinking, new way of living is where we are moving into in the age of light. So that's why we need to let go of what we used to know is the best, because everything is shifting and changing. Your environment is changing. You no longer are going to be in that dark place, okay? But right now, the darkness that you are experiencing is all inside you, your patterns, your belief systems, your mindset at this time. So in order for you to do that, something that you can do on a practical level is use affirmations proactively and redefine all the meanings that you have about certain things, right? If I don't do this, it's not blah, 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 right? There was a comment about someone asking that I'm homeless and I have nothing. I don't know what to do. Like, how can I get out of this situation, right? And I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this, I don't have that. So if all you're focusing on is what you don't have, that's what is going to be amplifying, because that is the sound, the frequency that you're sending to the universe, the signal. So focus on being grateful for what you have is a very basics. It's like fundamental 101, right? There's this billionaire, the story that I think he had like many failed businesses, and he was at point like homeless. So he was like basically out on the street, and he had nothing, but he was very resourceful. His mindset was not homeless. He started to pick up trash and he started to sell them to make money and started to have some ideas. And then he talked to some people, and then that's how he started to create his business. And then, from then on, go on, right? Even though he failed many times before. So that also brought me this memory of experience where, like, in my early 20s, I think I wanted to help people, but then I was in a lot of my karmic pattern. Like, I saw someone who I felt like needed help, but I wanted to, but my body was like paralyzed. I couldn't move. Like, I wasn't taking an action. So something that I wanted to do was I wanted to join like this volunteer group on the weekend. So I did like soup, like feeding the homeless people. And what I learned, I was shocked at first because I thought that they were like mentally ill and psychologically not well. But then when I gave the food, they were talking like a very normal person like me. And then they said thank you, and we would chat. And I was so shocked because why are they homeless? Because um, like I couldn't see any reason why they're homeless and not doing anything. But later I realized they gave up on themselves mentally after they experienced extreme failure or betrayal. They just gave up on themselves, gave up on life. They went out to the street, right? And then also some people I learned that they were born into a certain family, like an orphan, so they don't have like their ID, so they can't get a job or something like that. So they just start to give up on themselves. So it's about how you think and what you focus on. That's going to create your life basically. So that's why we say everything begins within you. And this is the best resource that you have, your mindset and your emotional well-being and balance, and how you discipline yourself and how you practice this, right? And align everything. And so with that, what also came with the analogy of the allegory of the cave by Plato was that these people who were chained, so the people who are inside a cave are basically chained, and they're looking into a wall, and the only thing they see is what's on the back. Through the images, it is reflected onto the cave wall. So the meaning behind it or the interpretation could be different for everyone, because based on your own situation and what you're going through, you may see something in a very different light from different angle, right? Which is valid. But what is coming up for me to share at this time, for those of you who are going to resonate, is that a lot of the times these people who are chained, sitting, looking into the wall, they don't want to unlock the chain. They don't want to leave the cave. They don't want to unchain themselves because they see no better life than that, right? Because they gave up. And they start to believe the illusion, meaning the reflection, the shadow that's being shown on the wall. But it is just a shadow. But they see that as real, right? And that's all that they know. So they're not moving, they're not unchaining themselves. They're not trying to liberate themselves from that situation. They'd rather stay chained because it is giving them a sense of safety, the known as an analogy, right? And that what we are experiencing when we are experiencing emotional triggers or any facing your ego aspect or the shadow aspect is this shadow that you see through the images that is reflecting to that wall. It's just a shadow. It's not real. And once you realize that, you are going to unchain and you are going to get out of that cave. A strong message that is coming up for me is that whatever you are struggling with right now or working on right now or have been working on, is that do not give up is a strong message. Wherever you are, do not give up hope. Do not give up faith. Do not give up on trusting. So continue to stay in gratitude. Continue to stay in joy. Okay. So with that, what we need to get used to is also, we need to also proactively adopt this new way of living in the age of light that is about the joy of living. Okay. Rather than the pressure to perform, pressure to survive through performing, through producing, like working hard all the time rather than playing, meaning being inspired, right? So with that, the song, the Brazilian song, Baiana, which I shared in my previous video, has come up yesterday all of a sudden once again. And that song, like, and the only thing, the word that is really came loudly was alegria. So alegria in Spanish, and I think in Portuguese is the same, like means joy or happiness. So it's time to celebrate and live in joy. And in order for us to do that, we need to also reframe and looking into a different perspective. So the truth is here, and what we've been looking into when we were in the age of darkness was like this certain area, the certain perspective. Okay, this life is hard. We need to work hard to pay the bills and do this and do that, right? We can't play. You need to grow up and you can't be a child and blah, 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 whatever, right? That is just one perspective that a lot of people were focusing on, and we've been learning to fixate on. So truth has infinite perspectives. That's why we go around and reincarnate and do all this soul growth journey, right? Because we are experiencing different perspectives. So we are now moving from one perspective that was limiting, that was like in the shadow, living in shadow of illusion. Now we are moving into another perspective. So with that, we need to what? Elevate our perspective. And to do so, we need to make what? Room for the new. Release. So we can take on this new perspective, new ideas, the enlightened, shed light on things in a different way so we can think differently, right? And we can expand our perspectives so that life can be joyful, or that, you know, you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to be this, or you're supposed to be somewhere by the age of 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60, 70, 80, 90, that is set by the conditions set by the society right now. We are also expanding these as well. There's no supposed to, right? If you want to do something, if you want to live a different life at any age, at any point, wherever you are, That is the power you have, the power within, the sovereignty within, right? So we are moving into that perspective. So in a sense, we are elevating, expanding our awareness and perspective. So we understand the darkness, and we also understand the light is the key or the aim that we are going for right now, understanding both the light and the darkness. Okay, so we are also learning about living in the light now. We just started to. It's like we're like a newborn baby, just having a little taste of something and getting used to living in that energy, right? So everything is new and everything is unknown in the sense. But with the awareness that is expanded or higher perspective or in the macro, we want to understand and anchor that down, like program it down into our system that it doesn't have to be scary. Everything is going to be protected, divinely guided. So that's why we need to go into intuition, because everything's going to happen for you in a unique way, in synchronicity, when you are tuned into your intuition. So you don't need to force anything that's you're not feeling in tuned with. So for example, with this idea of meditation as well, like a lot of people, when I was working with, interacting with a lot of people, networking, like back in the days before I had the spiritual awakening in 2018, people had a hard time, like, oh, it's so hard to meditate, I could just fall asleep. And this idea of meditation, or how to meditate, is fixating our mind on a limiting view. And with that, we're only thinking in that way. And so this idea to meditate is that, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. Instead of understanding the essence of what it means, we are being taught hows and what that is in a very limited view. But now we are also have to clear that energy from that had been anchored down in the third dimensional density world into a higher perspective, higher consciousness, so that you don't have to force yourself to sit down and do this, right? The triangle pose and close your eyes and listen to certain kinds of music. It doesn't have to be only that way or certain ways or hows. It could be in many infinite ways that may be unique to you. They will fit you in that particular moment. If you're tuned into your intuition, the synchronicities will show up and you're going to align with that energy. And then that's what's going to help you to meditate, reflect, and see. So you could meditate just sleeping, or you could meditate while sleeping, not sleeping, but like just sitting down, or you could listen to some sort of music and you could meditate and reflect, or you could watch TV and that it helps you meditate, or you could just walk around the city and it helps you reflect. You could be anywhere, but it could be different for anyone. But just that the essence is that you need to be tuned in, go inward, rather than putting your energy out in the different direction, right? That's what you need to learn, resuming your energy. So that's also coming up. So with that, we also have to, with that, something that came was this, I think the rainbow child was sharing this, and he has all the wisdom, and he said, if you believe in, if you constantly, expect lessons, that's what you're going to experience. But if you're constantly expecting joy, that's what you're going to experience. So in that sense, he just came with all the light, So it is very natural for him to do that and embody that. And we need these kids, we need these children to anchor down this light. And that's his purpose is, right? Um, but not knowing that or trying to adopt that doesn't mean you're behind, because you came here for a different experiment. But on a soul level, your soul knows this, but just that you're on a different experience or experimenting a different perspective. But now you're shifting, and they came in to help us, right? Help you or the older generations or older people than him, right? And so what we need to do is these children are reminding us in our soul wisdom. Yes, that's true. That's right. It's another perspective of looking, right? If you're constantly trying to work to get somewhere, like to have this, achieve this enlightenment, which is like controlling the results, right? Then we're going to constantly feel like, I got to do this, I got to do this. If I don't do this, you're going to start to experience anxiety, stress, right? All of that. But if you're constantly expecting joy, right? So there was this TV show in Korea where we invite foreigners. So the foreigners who live in Korea, they invite their friends from their home country, and the cameras filming these their friends coming to Korea and how they're journeying through, because they're facing everything unknown, right? The language is different, or the system may be different. They can't read the signs, right? So they're here, and then it was very funny because by every culture they had showed different habits. Like one time, this friends from, I think, Denmark, usually the Scandinavian countries, they're very much a planner, so they plan to like every detail, but because their system is so used to that, so the children grow up in that system of like strict rules and control and all this like regulations, and learn to plan everything, and that is considered good, right? And so, but whereas this like the one group from Mexico, and the producers had a really hard time because they're like, we need a plan for you, and you want to do some research. They're like, no, 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 we don't need plans. We just go there and we will just be instinctively know or be inspired to do something, and we just go do it. And it was just really funny and very different. And usually the planners group, they're like so tight in plan, like they have to do this and do that, and when they're only looking to go to that direction, they lose out on all these opportunities to discover all these different things. And this other group, the Mexican group, I'm not saying that one is better or the other is better, just sharing that that show, or that my view on that, as just sharing a story. So that group from the Mexico, but I'm not trying to generalize, and I don't want to generalize that everyone from Mexico is like that, or everyone from Scandinavian countries or Denmark, or like Europe is like that. But like in general, it was really interesting, and that they came in, but everything worked out for them. And usually when I watch these shows, everything usually works out better than they expect. So they randomly find these like local restaurants, or they decide to go to see this football game, and just happens to have this like game that they can watch, which is very difficult if you're planning. And so things just work out when you're in that sense, and they're staying very optimistic all the time. perhaps that particular friend group was more like that, that it's like, oh, it's going to be fine. I know that it's this, but I believe that everything. So it was very interesting that all this group was constantly like believing that everything's going to work out, and it usually did. And this other group also had a very cool experience, but was operating in a very different way. That they, one person I remember was very, very like detailed um, executioner by the plan. So like constantly looking at the map and constantly looking at the plan. Okay, we need to do this and do that, and boom, 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 boom. And so that's all he's focusing on. So he's not feeling anything or looking around or learning about new things, or there's no time for observing the new scenery, because all his mind is focused on getting to the next destination, next point, going to the airport. And then when we get off, like just how to take the blah, blah, blah. So that's, it's very narrow focused. And so we need both in that sense. Sometimes we need to use the sense, but also at the same time, that's where we're learning. We're learning to balance all these things. So that was very interesting and very funny for me to notice. So somehow it has been coming up for me to share. So perhaps someone may resonate, and that it may help you with something that you may be going through. I hope so. So that is what has been coming up for me to share. So allow yourself to continue to go inward, meditate, meaning stay neutral and observe without any thoughts, words, right? Just simply observing is a state of love, is what is coming up. So when you are observing without you going into taking one side over the other, which is duality, you are simply observing everything, is a representation of unconditional love. It is what is coming up, because you're allowing all these different avenues, perspectives that is unique to just flow and exist. But you're not at a point where you're intentionally deciding with one thing, but you're simply sitting with all possibilities. So that is a state of meditation, just existing, being on a deeper level meaning. So when you are being in that state of neutrality, simply observing, you are able to detach, meaning you're able to see the macro, the bigger picture, that you can see the container outside. You can start to remember that you chose to walk in. You can start to remember that you are experiencing all these fears, okay, or anxiety or doubt or these things, emotions, because you're learning about them. But they're just information. It's not who you are. So emotion is communicating with you with certain information. But when we're sitting in the macro, higher perspective, we can see that, right? That's why we want to observe, get outside of that box, so that we can let go by noticing and recognizing what we've been used to holding on to that created fear inside of us, that chained us, like that men who are chained and looking into the wall in the cave, in the darkness, and believing that all the shadow that they are seeing through the reflection is the reality, right? So right now, continue to do so as you go near the finish line, okay? And do not give up. And meaning do not get caught up in the how, in the what, and simply Continue to be in the here and now. Connect with the joy of this moment in the now. And as you are sitting more in that energy of peace and heal your nervous system, living in a state of joy in the mundane, and you don't see it as mundane, but you see that as everything is new. So for example, this is also coming up. It's like someone says, good morning. And the other one is like, good fucking morning. This is a great, amazing morning. The sun is out. The birds are singing. It's like that's the state we're going into by feeling. Because you've lifted all the resistance, the filters, right? You start to connect with the heart more, start to feel that today is a new day, rather than on a mental level you're trying to like really feel it, but it's hard and you're frustrated and all of that, right? As we heal the heart, you're going to feel like this is a new day. Every day is a new gift. Every day is a new blessing. And this me is a blessing. Me is magic. Me is miracle. You see? So you are going to start to feel that in your heart, rather than you're trying to force yourself to believe and then get frustrated. So to do that, continue to observe, continue to face your shadow, and continue to go inward rather than pointing the finger outside, because everything is a mirror, is another reminder that we perhaps know, but we often forget, right? Every person, every situation is a mirror. Okay. So you may go through grieving because you are letting go of something that as you let go, it may feel like you're losing something as opposed to gaining, which was one perspective and belief that we've been fixated on. But now we are learning that letting go means you're allowing yourself to receive something new, right? It's another perspective you're moving into, okay? So that it's not about gain and loss anymore, okay? So that's how we are dissolving and alchemizing these lower density energies in your shadow aspect and integrating them. So now you have an understanding, good understanding of how shadow works. And also you're also learning to live in the light as well. So you may be grieving, you may be feeling sad, but that doesn't mean, or you don't want to allow only that to prevent you from connecting with the joy of the now. You can still look forward to the new day and feel joy and feel sad at the same time, because right now we are in such transition, is what I'm guided to share. So whatever that emotion is coming up, allow all emotions, honor all emotions, their information that is very valuable to you at this time for you to integrate. So allow yourself to feel, meaning not resist, not control, not run away, not avoid, not distract, right? Just embrace, right? Let me give you a hug. What that is. Fear, I'll give you a hug. Doubt, I give you a hug, right? Worries, I hug you now. And with that love, hatred, I give you a hug. With that now, the unconditional love that you have inside, you're going to crack open your heart up more and more and more. And that's how you're going to start to feel, meaning experience, like this is a new day and I'm alive and I'm grateful to be waking up and live another day. Like you really feel that in your heart, as opposed to you trying to embody that concept, okay? So the key is in embracing all these emotions as they come without taking a side, meaning judgment, right? Okay, like that is better or that is not. I'd rather feel this. I'd rather feel this is not denying what you're feeling in this moment. So you are neglecting abandoning your own emotions, meaning yourself. You're not choosing yourself. So continue to choose yourself is in a way an extension of what it means to not give up in this sense. Continuing to feel your emotions as they come, whether it's fear, whether it's painful memory that is triggering these emotions, that is not giving up, in a sense, the extension of that meaning, right? Wherever you are, do not give up, okay, is what I'm guided to share. So it's going to feel like we're just on a roller coaster, right? With all the physical ascension symptoms. Like one day you're going up, the next day you're going down, and going up and going down, right? And it could be like this, or it's not like this, but it's like whoosh, right? So to help you feel more, a little bit enlightened, the song Out of Nowhere is coming up, like, this is how we do it. Right? This is how we do it. And we can't avoid this. This is just how it is. So we just have to learn to ride the wave. If it's going faster, you may scream, cry, scream, cry. It's like you may be like in awe and excitement, and then you're like, no, 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 no. But then you're like, ooh, relieved. And then, you know, it's just all different emotions. So, yes, since yesterday, my energy has been coming back to normal, and I was feeling a lot better physically, so that, you know, I have more energy to share with you guys today. So I hope this helps for anyone who's going to resonate, and that just what I saw was that we are all holding hands, like supporting each other, you know, whenever, even though you feel like you're in this dark tunnel alone, we are all holding this hand. Someone is holding your hand, your guardian angel, your spirit team, or anyone, you know, a random kindness from a stranger is a support from the divine. So to remind you that you're not alone and that you're being watched and guided and protected. So just trust in that and build that relationship, strengthen your relationship with the divine more. And let's try to get used to living in joy, living in light. And we are going to learn what it feels like to live in that, but also we are in transition right now, so there are still dark clouds in a symbolic sense, or people who are used to take on energy from other people. We call like energy vampires or psychic attacks, a lower entity, like distractions, however resonates for you. This could take place, but we are still in that transition, going back and forth. That's why the source and the Gaia is coming on strong right now for me to share that, to not give up, meaning stand in your truth, stand in your light, stand in this balance and expanded perspective, higher perspective, okay? And remember why, okay? Especially at this time. So that is all I have for you today, and I hope this helps. I'm sending you lots of love, support, encouragement for wherever you are with whatever struggle or journey you may be on right now. You're never alone. And I'm sending you lots of love. And with that, I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.